Welcome to Authentic Walk with God. Our topic today is Where is God? Where is God? I'm going to read from Exodus chapter 3, verses 1 through 6. But before I read this passage, I'd like to ask you a question. Have you been in a situation before where you needed to see God or talk to God or have some communication with God, but He seemed too far away from you? Or you were trying to grapple with some issues that needed some clarification from God, and God was far away from you, and you couldn't see Him according to you. Let's read this chapter, this particular passage I've just mentioned, Exodus chapter 3, verses 1 through 6, because Moses was in a situation like that. And he was so puzzled by what he saw in the burning bush. And he saw something burning, but had some voice, but could not know who was talking. Exodus chapter 3, verses 1 through 6, I read. Now Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian. And he led the flock to the far side of the desert and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire from within a bush. Moses saw that though the bush was on fire, it did not burn up. So Moses thought, I will go over and see this strange sight, why the bush does not burn up. When the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called to him from within the bush, Moses, Moses. And Moses said, Here am I. Do not come any closer. God said, Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. Then he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. At this, Moses hid his face because he was afraid to look at God. The story of the burning bush is a familiar one to many church people. This is the story of an encounter which Moses had with God, in which Moses heard the voice of God coming from a seemingly burning bush. Moses had run away from Egypt after killing an Egyptian who he saw was trying to kill his fellow Jew. He ran not knowing where he was going. However, he ended up in Midian, married there, and became a shepherd. He was taking care of his father in law's sheep and goats when this incident occurred. During this occasion, four significant things happened. One, Moses saw a burning bush. Two, Moses also saw no destruction or charcoal in the burning bush. Three, Moses heard the voice of God. And four, God revealed himself personally to Moses. Let me at this point stop telling Moses' story. Let us each consider our own stories in the light of Moses' story, using these four experiences. First of all, the burning bush. Moses saw flames, but saw no burning and felt no heat. I do not know about you, but I have been in situations in which strange things happened. The sky seemed like it was going to crash on me. The cloud seemed very dark and gray, and it would be a matter of moments before um, the wind or the wild wind blew me off. But nothing happened. So I sat down and wondered. The sweetness with which the sky went back up and the dark and gray cloud was replaced with bright sun or bright sunshine set me thinking. All of a sudden, jubilation replaced my fear and agony. I wondered. I knew I did not do anything to cause this particular good environment. I knew no other human being did it, but I was left with a frantic search for understanding. What about you? Do you remember any burning bush experience in your life? Secondly, there was no destruction, no charcoal, and no smokes. These are dangerous signs of burning or fire incident. Firefighters tell us that as far as humans are concerned, smoke inhalation is the worst feature of any fire incident. But in the biblical incident we are considering, there was no smoke. There was also no heat, yet there was fire. Think about this and relate it to any experience you have had or any you are going through right now. And in the third place, the voice of God. Because of the miracle or the supernatural event of a non destructive, smoke free, and heatless burning bush, Moses decided to make an experiment. He decided to draw closer to the scene of the incident and possibly touch the bush with a view to understanding the phenomenon. How many times do we hear statements such as, unless I see it, unless I touch it, and unless I smell it, I cannot believe it? Our great God is beyond and above our senses of sight, touch, and smell. We cannot conduct a laboratory experiment on God. His ways are not man's ways, and his thoughts are not man's thoughts. His thoughts are unfathomable, and his deeds are beyond human comprehension. It is a grievous mistake to look for God in any man made thing. I'm talking about books and technological inventions and the likes. We cannot squeeze God into any of our human modes. God operates on a different level, and all it takes to understand his actions is humility and faith. And lastly, but not the least, God's personal revelation to Moses. God chose to reveal himself to Moses, and when God did that, Moses understood him immediately. God said to Moses, I am the God of your ancestors, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Moses immediately understood what God meant. By implication, God was saying to Moses, I know you. I know your situation. I know your burdens. I know your predicament. Don't be dismayed. Don't be afraid. I'm going to make you swim across the river safely. I'm going to come for you and provide for you, just like I did to your ancestors. Only look up to me. No matter how much the bush burns, look up to me. Trust me and believe, and you will experience my deliverance. What about you, my brother and my sister? Has God revealed himself personally to you? How did you respond to him? Moses responded to God's personal revelation by covering up his face. He felt unworthy to see God. Of course, the Bible says that no one has ever seen God and lived. Moses felt humbled by the presence of God. In his humility, he would later ask God to tell him more about himself. And he would say to God, my Father, I trust you. I believe in you. Use me however you find fit. What are you doing with God's revelation of himself to you? Or is God yet to reveal himself to you? Or has God revealed himself to you and you missed him? Let me conclude here and say the remaining things. No matter how much the bush burns in your life, and no matter how high the flames may rise, Let us not look away from God. Let us look for God instead of looking at Him. Looking at God may entail some element of doubt and an unbelief, but looking for God means trust, faith, assurance. Be humble and know that God is God. He will see you through the situation you are going through right now. The fire will not burn you, and the smoke will not harm you. God is God in spite of what you think about Him. He is in control, and His actions and are beyond human understanding. But in this relationship with God and in His love, He reveals Himself to His people. He reaches down to us to fill our hearts with satisfaction and joy, no matter the situation. This He has done in Jesus, and hence Jesus said, "Come to me, all of you are carrying heavy loads, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke and put it on you, and learn from me, because I am gentle and humble in spirit, and you will find rest. For the yoke I will give you is easy, and the load I will put on you is light." Would you come now experience the love and the mercy of God if you have not? And if you have done that, would you continue to trust the Lord and believe that He knows everything concerning you and He will not fail you? Again, it is your brother and friend, Peter Lemadindong Wachuku, Director, Center for Family Life and Pastoral Care, Owerri, Nigeria. God bless you. Continue to trust Him. He is not too far away from you. He is near if only you can recognize His presence.